Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we delve into one of the most fascinating and controversial topics in ancient history. Was Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, truly Persian? This question seems simple, but its answer is more complex than one might imagine. Throughout this video, we examine historical, linguistic, and cultural evidence to better understand Cyrus's identity and the meaning of being Persian in that era. To better grasp the topic, we must first look at the historical context of Cyrus's time. Cyrus lived in an eventful period characterized by many changes and transitions. The new Assyrian Empire had recently fallen, and the impacts of this fall still lingered across the ancient Near East. In Babylon, King Nabonidus pursued an ambitious policy of expanding his territory southward into the Arabian desert. In southwestern Iran, the ancient Elamite kingdom was enjoying its last golden age. Evidence from the Susa Acropolis archives and tombs rich in historical evidence at Arjan and Ramhormuz show Elam was culturally advanced at that time. It was in this era of fervor and change that Cyrus emerged. He was undoubtedly a shrewd strategist with strong organizational skills, but he did not come into the world in a cultural vacuum. The rise of the Persian Empire followed centuries of coexistence and cultural exchange between Elamites and Persians in southwestern Iran. To return to our main question, how did Cyrus the Great see himself? In the famous Cyrus cylinder found in Babylon, Cyrus calls himself king of the city of Anshan. This title is also used by his enemy Nabonidus, the Babylonian emperor, in the Sipar cylinder. Additionally, Cyrus traces his lineage back to Tispis, who is also called king of Anshan. This connection to Anshan partly aimed to grant the first ruler of a global empire a prestigious lineage recognized and accepted by people of that time. The city and region of Anshan in Fars were well-known historical geographical entities to Babylonians. However, the title King of Anshan was not something Cyrus himself invented. It appears to refer to the traditional Elamite kingship title King of Anshan and Susa. A cylinder seal depicting a mounted warrior with the inscription Cyrus of Anshan, son of Tispis, makes this link even more evident. The name Cyrus itself is an intriguing topic. It is unknown whether this was his personal name or a royal name he adopted. The Greek writer Strabo claims Cyrus was called by the old Iranian name Agradotus before becoming king. If true, he chose the name Cyrus, son of Tispis, after ascending to kingship. In any case, the root Cyrus is more likely Elamite than Indo-Iranian. It may be a shortened form of a theophoric name combining a god's name in the form of an affix and a verb. For example, God's name plus verb meaning unknown God protected or unknown God maintained or granted. To better understand Cyrus, we can compare him with Darius, who is sometimes seen as the first culturally Persian king. Yet Darius chose to immortalize his achievements on the Bisutun inscription in Elamite language, with Akkadian and Old Persian versions added later. During Darius's reign, Elamite language was widely used in administrative centers like Susa and Persepolis. The structure of the Neo-Elamite language was first reconstructed based on Old Persian, as Persians primarily used it. Now, back to the core question. Was Cyrus the Great Elamite? Surely not. First, the title King of Anshan seems to indicate Cyrus's rivalry with the last Elamite kings. Second, names have long been known not to determine ethnicity. What we see here is that the first Persian rulers gravitated toward the superior culture of their time and region, which was Elamite with its ancient kingship and urban centers like Susa and Hidaru. But this affinity did not make Cyrus or his ancestors ethnically or even culturally Elamite. King of Anshan was simply a royal title, nothing more. Cyrus's subjects were not mountain-dwelling Anshanites or Elamites. Susa Acropolis archive confirmed this too. In texts from early 6th century BC, mountain people are called Persians, with no mention of Achaemenids. Thus, Cyrus the Great ruled over people who identified as Persian. Finally, we have to consider the role of a woman named Irdabama, possibly one of Darius's wives or more likely his mother. This royal woman held significant economic power and belonged to a local Elamite dynasty ruling Shulagi in the eastern part of Neo-Elamite kingdom. She may have descended from these rulers, and that could have been the sufficient reason for Vishtaspa, Darius's father, to marry her, as early Persians sought to solidify their position in the old system through Persian-Elamite intermarriages. At the heart of Persian lands and broadly in Persepolis, Indo-Iranian gods like Ahura Mazda were worshipped alongside Elamite gods like Humban and Naprisha by the same priests in the same places. There were no separate domains for Persian and Elamite religions, and the pantheon included members from both. This cultural blending shows being Persian then was a dynamic mix of various cultural elements. Cyrus the Great and his successors were products of centuries of interaction between Elamites and Indo-Iranians. Thus, asking was Cyrus the Great Persian may not be ideal. The better question is, what did being Persian mean in Cyrus's time? And we can answer it by saying being Persian was a dynamic, evolving concept incorporating diverse cultural elements. Cyrus the Great embodied this hybrid identity. He used Elamite titles and traditions, but ruled over people who saw themselves as Persian. He bridged the past and future, old traditions and an emerging identity. Rather than boxing Cyrus into a fixed ethnic or cultural category, we should view him as a symbol of transition and transformation when the concepts of identity and culture were being redefined at a time when a new empire was emerging which became heir to the diverse cultures of the region. The fact that Cyrus's identity was complex and multi-layered not only doesn't decrease his historical value, but makes him a symbol of ancient Iran's cultural diversity and richness. Understanding it fosters deeper, more precise historical insight, avoiding oversimplifications of historical identities. With this view, Cyrus was not merely Persian, but representative of an era of change, forging a new Persian identity. This reminds us identities evolve and should not be seen as static. Hopefully this video offered a fresh perspective on Cyrus and being Persian in antiquity. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.